Good morning, YouTube friends. Well, this is a little yarn video. I know some of you really enjoy yarn, weaving, knitting kind of videos more, maybe even a little spinning. So I want to show you what I'm working on in December. I have 5 projects that are at various states of completion. I know you know how that is. So I've got 2 woven and 3 knit, okay? So I'm going to turn the camera around so you don't have to look at me and you can actually look at the projects themselves. And I'll show you. I've got 2 that are completed, 3 that are not. I have to think about it. All right, let's look at them. This is one that I showed you before on that really short video about a tensioning device on my loom. This is a scarf. You know, I've been wondering how wide it is. Let's measure. It's 7 inches wide, which if the person who wears it doubles it, that'll be plenty. It'll be bulky. I'm really pleased. I love this dark red and the black, and then this is a teal with a pop of color, as I said before. My only dissatisfaction with this kind of weaving is the color changes produce loose ends, and if you try to tidy them up afterward, even after wet finishing it, I don't mind if the ends stick out, but I don't like it when you trim and then finally you realize, you know, I've got a float. And that really bothers me. I am going to start leaving a long overlap between my 2 ends when I change yarns or change colors, so that I just don't end up with that anymore. I don't mind a little teeny piece of fuzz where the end is. You really can't avoid that, but I don't like it when they get trimmed so short and you don't realize it and you have a float. I didn't really end up with many of that on this, but I came close and that worried me. So that turned out really pretty. I liked how that worked. That's for a friend. She wants to give it as a gift. And then I have another. Let me show you the weave that I'm working on right now. Now this is on my loom, and maybe I'll also share some footage right now of when I was warping it up. I've got it completely warped up now. This is the second of a pair of 2 that are primarily red, and I'm fixing to wind it up. I've already put some of my little cardboard sticks in, and now it's just a matter of rolling up and untying these ponytails when I come to them. It is so smooth and easy, it's hard to believe that so much tension is being put into that work. That's all I have to do. Once or twice, sometimes I don't know if I have to do that, but I'll come down and comb it out a little bit. Look at the difference between there and there. I'm almost to the end. It's so much faster with the tensioning device because you don't have to stop and do very much. Just a little bit of, I don't even know if those ponytail things are really necessary, but I'm almost there. This is so fast. Boy, weaving is a bit of a joy again, I think. Okay, so this is what the actual weave looks like. I'm using that same red Simply Soft. That was a color that my friend really wanted me. She requested that they be primarily red. And then I just gave some pops of yellow Simply Soft. And then the weft is going to be all this variegated. Now, it's very similar to Simply Soft, but not quite the same. Soft and shiny. I got this at Michael's quite a while back. Who makes this? Oh, Loops and Threads. Okay. So, but it's very similar weight and everything. I think it is just a little stretchier, but because I'm not using it on the warp, I don't really mind about that. It's behaving very well. Nice edges. So, and since I'm going to use this, I'm going to have very few end changes. I transitions from yarn, only when I run out on my shuttle. And this is a nice big shuttle. So hopefully that'll only happen a couple times on the weave. I want to finish this up by early next week for sure if I have time. But I love using a variegated yarn for a weft because it gives you interest, but it doesn't dominate because you're changing yarn, they're changing colors basically all the way through. The dominant color will be the back color. And I'm also not beating it very close. See how I'm leaving some gaps in there? I really want the red to shine through. Okay, so that's project number 2. Project number 3 is another scarf. It's so strange. I've had this yarn for a long time. I've got 5 balls of it. And it's this kind of yarn where there's nothing for a while. It's an acrylic sparkly. And they're trying to imitate a thick and thin hand woven. And so then you get another wad of supposed fleece, and then you get an empty spot. And I tried to combine it with some pink yarn. I pulled all that out. It was awful. Anyway, this is the yarn. It is Celebi Hyra, okay? And it's just polyester. Anyway, what I finally decided to do, since I had so much of it, I decided to use two yarns of this when I'm knitting. And so I, see what I'm doing there? And it makes it so, and I'm knitting on these, I think these are 10 and a halves, and it's just straight knit because, as I've said before, when you have a really interesting yarn, you don't need an interesting pattern. If I were doing a pattern in here, it would be utterly lost and a waste of time. This is soft and squishy. It's going rather slow because I just don't have time to work on it much, but I'd love to take this to the market and sell it. I just think this would be lovely around somebody's neck at Christmas. Isn't that pretty? I just never really thought that this yarn would end up pretty. I just thought it was kind of ugly. Okay, so that is project number 3. Project number 4 is one that I work on when I have time. I think these are again circular bamboo. I think they're 7s maybe. This is a mitered square blanket. I've made one of these before. Maybe I'll slip a picture of that one in here for those of you who are new. I found out about mitered square blankets from Kate Jackson's channel. She made one, or probably more than that. Anyway, this is for my grandson. I'm only a third, if that, less than a third of the way through with it. I'm taking my time. It's not for Christmas. It's not for birthday. It's just for whenever. So, and I like the colors. They're, you know, kind of boy colors, browns and whites and grays and greens. That's actually, again, a teal. So that's something I'll work on in January when I'm not making anything for Christmas or for the farmer's market. Now the last project is a knitted scarf, and I'm turning this around because I'm going to try it on and show it to you. I had much anguish over this scarf. I filmed a lot of footage about this scarf. Have I showed this to you before? I think I have, with this panel of kind of twisty yarn overs in the middle. This is not a long scarf. Let me see, how long is it? This is one way to measure. If you extend your arm from your fingertips to your nose, that's about a yard. Actually, it is about 6 feet long. Anyway, but not insanely long. It is soft. It's 2 strands, white and a gray, kind of a gray blue, of acrylic. Anyway, my plan, if I were going to wear it, would be to double it over and pull it through. Let me turn the camera down just a hair so you can see that. Now, this is the length that I like a scarf. It's going to keep my neck warm. I'm really thinking of keeping it. I might take it to the market tomorrow. It's going to be 75 degrees and nobody's going to want yarn. Maybe, so if it doesn't sell, I may keep it. I wish it were just a little softer. It's not scratchy at all. It's just, I like a really lusciously soft scarf, but this is sturdy. And I wear a scarf when I go outside, and when I go outside, I'm usually doing farm work. If I'm going to stay out there long enough to need a scarf, I don't go to many events and things like that. And if I'm doing farm work, and this is important to remember, if you're going to be working and bending over very much, which I do a lot outside when I'm lifting things or feeding chickens, you don't want a scarf that's hanging down, because when you bend over, it's going to fall into the dirt, fall into the chicken water, fall into the chicken poop, fall into the chicken food, fall into whatever you're trying to haul around. So this would be a perfect length to keep your neck warm. It's going to stay in place. It's just the right length for that. No, it's not going to have any fringe or anything like that. This is kind of a practical scarf, but very pretty. I love the pattern. I had thought I'd made a mistake in it. And so I looked back, I thought I had reversed and knitted the wrong way and added some extra rows on one side, because it seemed to have this wonky pull to one side when I finished it and held it up. And so I pulled out 50 rows, or about 50 rows of this, which was awful. It's quick to pull out, long to reknit. And then I tried to find the spot where I had made that mistake, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't actually get to that bump that I was looking for on one side. And so then I started counting the rows that I had still remaining, that were still knitted. And I counted all the way to the bottom. I counted twice, and I realized I had the right number. There was no error. It was just pulling weird. And I think that this particular pattern, well, you can even see there, see that slope? And you can exaggerate it really easily, or you can kind of tug on it. And I think it's just the pattern that it's stretchier on one side than it is on the other, perhaps. Somebody who's a better knitter than me can tell me what's going on with that. It's just knit. There's no purling. It's just knit on both sides. I do slip the first stitch on every row to give me tighter selvages. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Anyway, but there were no mistakes, and I'm quite fond of it. I have several scarves, but none of them is just right at this point. And they're several years old. Okay, so that's my 5 yarn projects in December. I'm wondering what you're working on. Do you have any scarves or shawls or blankets or anything that you're working on for Christmas gifts or even for yourself? Share that with me in the comments. Oh, and I want to say thanks to all my new subscribers. I have 530, which is a shock. This is just a fun channel for me to share and remember the things I'm working on, and I hope you enjoy some of them too. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.